Hello everyone. Welcome to the JC Superstar Show, where we celebrate the brightest talents and the stories behind their success. Today, we are so excited to have a very special guest with us, Makeda Wasihun of Makeda campus, the winner of this year's annual Poetry Slam. Makeda's words have captured hearts, challenged perspectives, and ignited conversations. So today, we are going to get up close and personal with the superstar himself. Stay with us up to the end of the program. I'm your host, Bemnat Zennaba.
Hi everyone, my name is Makeda Wasihun. I'm from Makeda Campus High School, grade 10D. I recently won the annual Poetry Slam regional competition, first place. So yeah. Honestly, I feel grateful and overjoyed. You know, the competition was fierce and there were so many incredible poets who truly deserved the top spot. It was such a fierce competition, and to come out on the top like that was so thrilling. I honestly never expected to take home the gold, but yeah, it was such a rewarding experience. Oh, of course. So the competition consisted of two parts, and I performed two of my best poems. The first one was called African Daughters. It was about girls in Africa, particularly in Ethiopia, and it touches on, the educational barriers, socioeconomic limitations, and cultural practices that hinder girls, like early marriage or being expected to herd livestock instead of actually attending school. And so my call was to give African girls the opportunity that they deserve to lead and shine. African daughters. They told us, speak only when spoken to. Let the men talk. Children should wait for grown-ups to finish. And we did. We waited until our tongues forgot how to stretch beyond permissions. They said, your worth is in your silence and how well you obey, and how early you marry, how you herd cattle, collect firewood, bear children, and bow down your head. But I was not shaped for bending. In a world that measures a woman by how little space she takes, I've learned to take more. Not to apologize for my voice, but to raise it, even when it trembles. They said, books not for you, dreams too wild, leadership that belongs to men. But look at me now, fist wrapped around the spines of my future, reading it out loud. Africa, do you see her now? The girl you hushed, sent outside with the goats, married off before her voice dropped? She remembers, she's not quiet anymore. This isn't a poem, it's a reckoning. A fire you told us to bury, now raging without apologies. Thank you. The second poem that I presented was called Ode to Milo. It was a deeply personal poem to me. I wrote about my puppy named Milo, and a few weeks prior to the competition, he unfortunately ended up passing away. And so writing about it helped me process my emotions a lot. And I think what made it so special was how much it was able to resonate with all the people there, and especially the judges. Well, I find inspiration in a variety of places, but most of it comes from the quiet stuff. I write about love, about loss, grief, my culture, my identity, but most of it comes from the things that we don't talk about, if we've ever been close, whether it's friends or something more. There is a good chance that you're written somewhere in my poems. I don't always say names, but if you know, you know. So yeah, emotions, people, unspoken feelings, they all play part in my creative process. Oh, absolutely. I was definitely nervous. My hands were shaking and I was having so many doubts of like, what if I go up there and I forget everything that I memorized my lines? And there, as I stated earlier, there were so many incredible poets. There are two in particular that stand out the most. Salsabi from Kanisa Kampas, and there's also Zikra from Boli 24. I think she won the competition like prior, like continuously in years. And she was just an outstanding performance. And on both round, I was like, after them, I performed after them. So after I heard what they were talking, what their poem was like, I was just like so astonished by how well they presented it. And I was like, oh my God, do I really stand a chance? But then I just took in a deep breath and I reassured myself and I relied on the confidence that I had in my writing. And so I just went there and I let the words flow. I want my audience to leave with a sense of empowerment and connection with African daughters. I want them to feel the need to stand up for every woman's right and, understand the barrier and challenges they face. And with Milo, I want them to feel the raw emotion of grief and to understand the, actual loss process. So I think what made my poem stand out the most was an ode to Milo. It resonate. Usually, when you write a poem, you write it in a romantic matter, for example, Shakespeare's style, right? But my poem was more of like a story. Obviously, it was a poem, but it was more of like a storytelling in which I just talked about this hero named Milo and then his story. I quote unquote say in the poem, "Eyes curious as dawn, he taught me joy without words. Every day he'd wag his tail like a metronome of happiness, playfully nipping at my fingers. Listening to me gossip about my days, nodding like he understood every word. He made these funny faces, his eyes wide, ears picked, like he was in on my secrets. He guarded me fiercely, every stranger a potential threat, every moment a chance to protect." And so I just went on saying and talking about this hero named Milo and his adventures and how he overcame all the challenge. And everyone felt like they were part of the journey and it resonated with them so much. And so at the end, when this hero ended up having this unfortunate incident and he ended up passing away, it broke everyone there, not only me. And everyone was like able to resonate, and it was such a heartfelt and lovely performance. Well, I'm very excited for the future. I love writing. I've been writing for what now? The past 2.5 years. Every day I just like after school, I'd go home and before bed, I have a bunch of notebooks piled up in my room. And I just write about, I write about my surrounding, my observations, people, their patterns that I noticed, my goal, my ambitions. And I love writing. I also love poetry, obviously. I have a notebook dedicated to poetry. And so I hope to continue growing as a writer and craft my writings and in the future publish a book and even hopefully become a poet. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see where the future takes us. Oh my God, where do I even start? Oh yeah, obviously, first of all, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for, bringing me here, and every breath that I draw, it's because of Him. Without Him, I wouldn't be here. And then, second of all, I'd like to thank my parents for being the biggest supporters of my life. Anything that I say, they support me. I could wake up today and be like, what? I could say I want to become a swimmer, and they would still be like, "Are you sure about that?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, Mom," like, "Yeah, Dad, I'm quite sure about that." And they would still support me. They'd be like, "Oh, girl, I'm supportive of that." So yeah, I'm so grateful to have a parents like them. And third of all, I'd like to thank, okay, I didn't think I would say this, but I'd actually like to thank my brother. You know, sure, we fight here and there. Actually, no, we fight every day, but he's like one of the most inspiring peoples in my life. Not in a soft way of like, go girl, or like hyping me up, I love you so much, but in a way of like, let's say I got 94 in my exams, right? He looks at it and he goes like, you got 94? You know, back in my days, I used to get 100, and I'm there being like, oh, I'd get so pissed, and so I'd study harder next time to get 100 just to shove it in his face respectfully and be like, see, I got 100, like I'm capable of achieving that. And so yeah, he's like one of the most inspiring peoples in my life. So I'd like to thank him. I'd like to continue on his legacy and achieve much greater things than he ever did. And I'd also like to thank my little sister. She's 10, but she's like one of the most amazing and intelligent people I've ever met in my life. And then I'd like to thank my best friend for always being there for me, my ride or die. And then my cousin from Bole Campus. Shout out to you, Maria. She's grade 10, my rival, my like my bestie for life. And then I'd like to thank my friends for always being there for me, for hyping me up. Whenever I write a piece and I just like go and show it to them, they treat me like I won some Nobel Peace Award. They're like, oh my God, girl, you wrote this? Like, this is so amazing. How did you write this? Like, is this for sale? And I'm like, guys, stop. Thank you so much. And so they're always there to hype me, and I'm just so grateful to have them in my life. I'm not going to start mentioning names because this video is going to be 2 hours long, but I'm so grateful to have you all in my life, and I don't take you guys for granted. And last but not least, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Vemnet, for giving me this platform to be able to share my voice and become an inspiration to others. Thank you so much for having me. Ode to Milo. I have two truths for you. 1, love leaves a paw print deeper than time. And 2, loss teaches us that even love isn't always enough. There once was a light in my world, soft and warm, a soul wrapped in furs. His name was Milo. A playful spirit, eyes curious as dawn, he taught me joy without words. Every day he'd wag his tail like a metronome of happiness, playfully nipping at my fingers, listening to me gossip about my days, nodding like he understood every word. He made these funny faces, his eyes wide, ears picked, like he was in on my secrets. He guarded me fiercely, every stranger a potential threat, every moment a chance to protect. But those puppy eyes, oh, those eyes could melt walls, begging for just one more treat. And I'd always give in. When I studied, he'd peek in, a silent whisper, it's time to play. I'd say, give me 15 minutes. But we both knew I couldn't resist for long. We played fetch, our shared language of love. He was smart, loyal, more than a pet. He was my best friend. But now when I glance at the side of my room, where Milo once waited, patiently as I did my work, I realize he's no longer there. And that absence, that hollow space eats away at me every day. Like a reminder of love I can't touch, the joy I can't hold on to anymore. They say to hold on to love loosely, so when it leaves, it won't exit so painfully. But how do I let go of moments like this? How do I stop replaying the days we could have had, the walks we could have taken, the laughter that might have been? I try not to play God, but I can't help wishing, what if Milo was still here? What if I could turn back time, but I know that's not real? I've got to come to terms with the fact that he ain't never coming back. And that's the cost of love, caring for someone so much you can't imagine living life without them. And though I know I should hold on loosely, I can't help but cling to these memories, these scars from just trying to hold on to you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, how was our interview with Makeda Wasihun? I hope you have enjoyed. See you next time with another episode. Until then, goodbye.